Hello, beautiful people. I'm back again. I'm Sudhamai, your communication coach. And today I have a very super interesting concept for you, especially how to ask questions. You meet someone and you want to know what do they do, how do they do certain things. So most of my students keep asking me how to frame questions, especially to talk about their likes and dislikes, or to ask about what sort of jobs they do, or they wish to do any actions, right? And here today, this we are doing is quite interesting because we are going to talk about action verbs. Yes, today's session is all about talking action verbs, how to frame a question using action verbs, and how to make negative as well as positive sentences using, yes, action verbs. Before I get into the content, before I speak about today's lesson and teach you a few important rules that you need while speaking about action verbs, I want you to make some action in the chat box. Yes, my dear friends, I am your in positive way as well as in negative sentences. So that's what we are going to find out. If you're ready, I'm all set to give the session. Yes, if it's live, please make some noise in the chat box. And meanwhile, I'll be showing you a few interesting things that I got from you. Well, I guess I can see the rivers of what I've written. Yes. So basically, today I'm talking about action verbs. And what are action verbs? Action verbs are something that we can see that's happening in front of our eyes. For example, speak, learn. I'm just giving the basic one because I want to keep this session very simple and easy for beginners, for intermediate learners, right? So the action verbs are number one, work, live. These are few of the action verbs. If you know anything, please put it in the chat box. What are the action verbs that you know? So basically, action verbs are nothing but that you see that happening in front of your eyes. So everybody are in action. Even sitting like this is an action. Talking to you all is an action. Teaching is an action. Yes, I'm hearing. Yes, I'm listening is also an action. So there's so much that you can talk about action verbs because action verbs are part of our life. Without any action verbs, you cannot make a sentence because there's an action happening in front of us, isn't it? Well, so action verbs, the words, a list of words that you know, you can put it in the chat box while I let you know how we can make action verbs into sentences, how we can use, right? Okay, so when I say I speak English, what does it mean? That means certain rules associated with making sentences with action words. For example, I speak English, say Jack and Jones for plural nouns. We can also say, yes, we can use the main verb, the action verb speak. Jack and George speak English. So if you have noticed, the sentence formation is with the subject confused. Action words in present tense, this is how you can say. Most of my students ask me when to use am, is, are, and when not to use them. My dear friends, keep in mind am, is, are the main verbs. They are used for be forms, right? They're used when you are talking about your conditions, situations, occupations, or when you're talking what you're doing with the verb plus ing, something that you're doing something continuously, then you use is, am, are. Or the adjectives, your feelings, when you talk about your feelings, or when you talk about your age, I am, or when you're talking about you, then you say I am, she is, they are, we are. Only talking about action verb. Is this clear? So in present tense or in simple present, when you're talking about When you like something, you can say, I like ice cream. Or if I have to say, well, I can give you a few more sentences like, um, they live here. She We work here, and they jump like watermelons. And yes, sure, I live in India. So these are the words you can use with action verbs, right? Now, how to use this with the third person? That is he. Let me make few more sentences so that you can understand what I'm trying to tell you. He sings well. She speaks in English. Yes, and you can also say she eats every day at the same time. And you can also say, it works well for me. So these are the words these are the sentences that you can use when you're talking about someone's likes and dislikes, or when you are talking about, this is how you use it. If you have noticed, there's a contrast sentences like, I live here, she lives. You have to add s or es. For example, if I say I learn English, and suppose the other person is talking about me, they can say she learns English. So this is how you can talk about simple present when some actions are happening every day. At the same time, when you want to know, or when you can see someone's action in front of you, this is how you have to frame your sentence. Am I clear? If you're watching this live, you can make, all right? Okay, so apart from this, we can also talk about questions. Now, the same thing. For example, I'm talking about she sings well. Now, I want to ask a question on this. How do I do that? What is the right way to ask a question to know whether she sings well or not? How do you ask this? Right? That's where we need to use the do forms. In English, there are different forms, do forms, which are do and does. And we also have something called have and has, which I will be working on in our future classes. Is this clear? Okay, so today we are working on do and does. And does are the helping verbs that we can use in our questions. We need to use do and does. How do we use that? Yes. How do we use that? If you're watching this live, you can put that in the comment section if you know anything about do and does. My dear students, this is a very basic lesson, but very confusing for most. Is and are. Yes, do forms versus be forms. When a type of action is happening, you use do. Keep in mind, do forms are used for action verbs. Be forms like is, am, are, they can be used in multiple ways. For example, I'm happy. She is singing. Sing is though is happening continuously. All right. So this is how we can frame sentences and questions using do forms versus forms or be forms. So today, as I said, I'm talking about do and does. If you know about this topic, please participate in the interaction. I will definitely read your sentences, right? So here it goes. Do you read English? This is a question. You, we, they, and any plural nouns. Plural nouns, any names you want to write in the sentence. So maybe make a sentence with it, right? Do you speak English? That's a question. Or should I say, do you like me? Yeah. So so the question comes as do the first, then followed by the action verb and the objective. Do you live? Do we live here? And my dear friends, remember one thing, do and does questions always ends with a question mark. Yes, because it's a question and it's called interrogative questions. To frame interrogative questions, you definitely need a punctuation mark called question mark. If you use the same question mark in your spoken English, then you come to my house versus if you ask without a question tone, do you want to come to my house? How does this sound? Right? So if you're asking a question, you definitely have to have. So someone is asking if those people want to eat with us. Do with do question sentences. You have to make do questions. How do you do that? Yes, that's one question. But today we are only talking about do and does, how to make an interrogative question. So, do you want me to bring something for you? Do we play here? They are reflective right now. So, yes, these are called interrogative questions. If you can see, how do I can see? Do I need a pen? Do you drink coffee? Do you have to go to work? Do you stay at home? Do you care to call me back? Do you swim? Do we